He kōna e purangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
Kia ora, hello, and welcome to the Music 101 interview podcast. I'm Charlotte Ryan, and this week I'm so excited to introduce you to a brand new local artist called Zukey. Zukey, real name Christian, he's a Canadian-born New Zealand alternative musician and lives in Auckland, and his gorgeous new album, Stonefruit, was released earlier this month. I read on the Zukey sort of album notes or PR that you get sent that his wife had suffered a brain injury and that experience had contributed to the making of this album. However, I really didn't understand or realise the extent of what they'd been through. It's an incredible, raw, heartbreaking story. And although this new album comes from a really challenging place, it is grounded with love. Enjoy my interview with Zukey.
Thank you so much for having me.
And congratulations on Stonefruit.
Thank you so much. It's finally out.
It's finally out. Yes, because it has been a work in progress, hasn't it?
Yeah. So I actually started recording it with Mark Perkins of Merck in 2020. So the first song that we ever recorded was 4 years ago.
Before we even start asking about the album, I want to know where your name comes from, Zukey. Because when I read it, I thought it was quite clever. And I was thinking, is it like Suzuki, like the recorder?
Yeah, it does. It definitely sounds a little bit like Suzuki. I really like that, that 80s motorcycle, that sports motorcycle from Suzuki, that blue and white one. It's great. But no, so my first name is Christian, so that's where the C comes from. And my mother's last name is Zukeyati, and so that's where the Zukey comes from.
Where does her name come from?
Italy.
Ah, it's not your first foray into music though, is it? You've performed in other bands.
Yeah, that's right. A long time ago, I used to play with a band called Feraloo. We did kind of folk music, and I had so much fun with them. But we haven't played together in a really long time.
And so what was the sort of inspiration for you going solo, or where did the sort of seed of the project start?
I think it can be quite difficult to wrangle a band together, especially as you get older and you have more responsibilities. But for me, I suddenly realized that I needed to make music, and I would do it no matter what. So the easiest way to do it was just to do it myself.
Yeah. Many musicians do say that it's just in them and they have to create. It's just like this. Is that what it was for you?
Yeah. It was definitely a necessity. I think partly because I just love music and I love writing music, but also it is really kind of like a cathartic process. It's almost like therapy, really, writing a song.
Which you needed because you've had quite an intense, rough time family-wise recently. Can you tell me about your partner? Because I understand that she had a brain injury, quite a serious brain injury, and that contributed to part of the motivation of getting this album or writing this album.
Yeah, that's right. It's been a very long journey for us. It started about 5 years ago with the birth of our child, Bastian. Basically, what happened was it was a very complicated childbirth, and she... I'm trying to find the right words that...
I get it.
I don't want it to sound so shocking.
It was shocking, though, wasn't it?
It was shocking, yeah. It was hugely life-changing. It's not something that you would ever suspect would happen.
Did you have a healthy pregnancy?
Yeah, more or less. Bastian was a big baby. He was also a bit late, and because of that, Lydia was induced, which...
brings on contractions intensely, doesn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
From the start of labor, it was really quite intense for hours. And then once Bastian was born, Lydia suffered just catastrophic hemorrhaging. And so they couldn't really stop it. And because of that blood loss, Lydia was unable to get the oxygen to her brain.
Yeah.
And so that caused severe global brain damage.
Wow. So from that moment then,
we've kept going, and it's been 5 years now, and I feel like now we're in a pretty good place. And, Lydia's doing pretty well. She's home now, finally, after staying at a brain injury rehab center for many years.
Wow. So during that time, you're almost like a solo father.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So I've been looking after Bastian since day one.
Oh, wow.
Which was really cool. We got a lot of help, like especially from Mother's Milk. So we were able to get donated breast milk, which was really awesome. And yeah, so I've been raising Bastian.
Amazing. And of course, with all that intense, I guess, grief as a word,
That's right.
Your creative outlet was music.
Yeah, actually, before that, I kind of had a bit of a dry spell when it came to writing. I had a bit of a writer's block for a long time. And then after Lydia's injury, I suddenly had just this huge well of inspiration. And because of that, I just wanted to write it all down. And so I just kept writing, and I just wrote so many songs. And I'm really, really proud and really happy with what I've created.
And can I ask, when you say Lydia's doing a lot better now and she's at home, is she verbal? Is she mobile?
No. When I say she's doing better, there's only so much really that you can recover from a global severe brain damage. Initially, she was completely non-responsive for the first few weeks, I think, after the injury. You would say that she's minimally conscious or in a coma. But she slowly was able to gain consciousness, which in itself is really a miracle. I remember the first thing was that her sister said to her, "Lydia, if you can hear me, blink your eyes," and she could blink her eyes. And so that's when we knew that, not all hope was lost. She could recover, whether it's, fully recover or a little bit recover, she could recover. And so it's been a long journey, but although she's not verbal and she's not mobile, she is able to interact, and she is able to smile and laugh and understand jokes and listen to music and cry, and yeah.
So this album that you've put together, Stonefruit, it sort of, would you say that it captures the emotions that you've experienced over the last 5 years then?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It really shows the full range of the grief process. So there are songs that are depressing, and there are songs that are angry, and there are songs that are a little bit bargaining or in denial a little bit, and then there are songs that are more in the acceptance stage. And I tried not to make something that was just depressing to listen to, because I don't want people to just be depressed listening to this music. Even though the subject matter is quite dark and depressing, you could say, I wanted people to make sure that there was still hope, that you could still hear the hope in the songs. So even the more depressing songs on the album, there's always a little glimmer of hope.
I was going to ask how you allow grief to become part of creativity, but I guess you sort of almost can't stop it. It's just in you. It has to come out.
Yeah. I remember as I was writing the songs earlier on, I had a phrase in my head that would just always repeat. And it was that sometimes you have to let the darkness in. Once you let yourself kind of experience that darkness and that grief, that's kind of the first step to kind of recovery, I guess. You let yourself experience that depression.
Confronting feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then from that, you can put the pen to the paper and you can write something down that hopefully translates.
Yeah. Tell me, who are your musical influences? Because when I was listening to it, I was like, oh, there's a touch of R&B in here, and there's a touch of this and that.
Yeah, so it's quite a varied album. I'm not sure if that's necessarily a good thing.
I love it. It is for me.
You.
Yeah.
Okay, good. because it's kind of funny. I didn't think, oh, I'm gonna just make a bunch of songs that sound the same. They're really, really different. There's like a bossa nova song and like a early mid-century pop song and one that sounds like Genesis.
I love Genesis. Just gonna throw it out there. They were a great band.
Yeah, I agree. So for my musical influences, I actually mainly listen to a lot of Japanese composers, like Ryuichi Sakamoto. He's number one.
There's a documentary coming out about him soon.
Oh, really?
Apparently, yes, I just saw.
I love him.
Same.
And also some of the more acoustic ones, I was listening to Tennis Coats. It's another Japanese band. I used to listen to a lot of Radiohead growing up, so I'm sure that influence is there somewhere.
At your upcoming show at the Wine Cellar, will you be playing solo or playing with band?
I'll be playing with a full band, which is a group of people that I've really grown up playing music with. And I always think, even though I'm a solo artist, I really don't want to perform live just on my own. I need to have a group of people backing me up.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. And actually, using that analogy, I feel like, have you had a good community backing you up throughout the last 5 years too?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It's funny when something like that happens to you, there is a huge amount of support earlier on, and then it kind of tapers off.
Yes.
But yeah, the core people in my life have been there for me, absolutely, over the last 5 years.
Beautiful. Christian, congratulations on the album. And it feels weird to say congratulations because it's come from such a dark place, but you're an incredible human. The music is beautiful, and I hope it keeps flowing from you.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to play your song, Keep Love, now. Is there anything you want to say about it before we play it?
Yeah, this song is really, really simple, and it's one of the songs that really showcases a lot of the emotion that I was going through at the time. A lot of frustration and anger and denial and bargaining. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it.
That wraps up my interview with Zukey, New Zealand musician. His new album Stonefruit is out now, and you must go and listen to it. I'm live on the radio every Saturday on RNZ National, but if you're a music fan, follow this podcast and share it with your friends too. You can keep up to date with all the great interviews. Until next time, take care.